We're grateful that Ms. Elisenda Vivis Balignana, I'm sorry, I just destroyed that one, permanent representative of the Principality of Andorra to the United Nations, made it here today. She is known as a strong advocate for mountain women. In 2018, she hosted the Side Event Mountains in the 2030 Agenda, which was enjoyed by 3 UIMF students during the HLCF.
Thank you so much for being late. But first of all, I want to thank you for organizing first of all this important event and making the mountains more visible. Even is this place that is maybe across book. And also I would commend the leadership of Kyrgyzstan, leading all the countries here at the United Nations and also out of this organization to put mountains in the place that we need to develop all the potentialities, the threats, risk, and also all the heritage we have, and we can also share with the rest of the humankind. And it's very important to know how the International Mountain Forum of Utah is developing something that is very close to the theme of this gathering, of this edition of the CSW, that is the connection, the connectivity, the capability of students to be together through internet, through the digital tools we have at our hand. And in this regard, let me also to enhance that my country is a very small one in a range, the Pyrenees in Europe, that is divided Spain and France. So we are a little sandwiches over there, and it's a very small one. It's 100% mountains. There is nothing flat except the very narrow valleys. So the conditions that are determining how are we organizing ourselves really have been shaped around the mountains. Nevertheless, with the arrival of maybe the changes of the 20th century, with the tourism and also the aspirational activity that has been skiing, the economy that was mainly rural, 100% rural, have changed. And with the arrival of internet, the digital world was open wide for all of us. So this is something that we have to take into account. And in this regard as well, I would also mention that this concept that has been repeated for our former speakers, the education. This is at the base of any kind of society. We need that is a human right, of course, but it's a need of human beings. So education has been at the core of any activities. And we know by hand, all of us, how difficult it is to fulfill that on spaces, on a geography that is really very complicated. So our effort, you mentioned you were very kind, the advocacy will be always for education at all levels, and this is the way also that we can integrate, we can be more inclusive, and we can develop the values that we are sharing all of us here in this room. And we have this project that are the SDGs. So following this group that is going to arrive to 2030, I think that we can also be strong advocates in mountains because the importance of the impact of mountains on the rest of the humankind is highly strong. So we have this responsibility. In this regard, science as a motto as well. in our General Assembly will be something very important that we have to develop. And just to conclude, I would like also to mention that in our program of work, the Andorran one mainly in mountains, is related with the environment and more completely with the climate change. This is a global threat. The situation, the conditions, the impact of mountains, the rest of the areas, in the valleys, in the lower part of there, is very high. So I think that we have to be committed, women and men, in this regard, to defend how we can be adapted and of course mitigating that. This is our main agenda: education, science, climate change, and of course with the effort of all of us, women, and of course we invite men very gladly. Thank you very much.
We have our last two student speakers with us today. We will first hear from Japoda Winnie Jada, a UVU Rotaract international student from South Sudan, and Priyank, and then following her, Priyanka Prem Kumar, an independent researcher in data analysis from India. We'll give the next 5 minutes back.
Thank you. South Sudan faces numerous issues and for a long time has been struggling with obtaining and maintaining sustainable development goals. Gender inequality being one of the biggest issues. Tradition is important in the culture of the country, but it's often used as an excuse for gender inequality. One of the biggest issues the country currently faces is girl-child marriages, and according to the United Nations, South Sudan is one of the countries with the highest rates of girl-child marriage, with over 52% of the population getting married before the age of 18. Women also suffer gender health disparities, and due to violence in the country, there is limited access to health facilities, hence a high mortality rate. Women also face gender inequality in education, and due to the higher rates of early girl-child marriages, girls are more likely to drop out of schools after marriage and take care of their new families while the men continue education. Ending gender inequality has always been a major interest to me, and I have participated in campaigns advocating for women and speaking up for their rights. And through these campaigns, we've been able to talk to girls and women about the importance of education and gender equality and women's rights. The student-engaged learning model relies on students to work together to find solutions to problems that affect their communities. And through this model and the UVU Rotaract Club, I've been able to serve my community in Utah by raising funds and then delivering dictionaries and codes for local schools, which was an opportunity to build teamwork. I'm also the Vice President of the Immigrant and Refugee Student Union, a student club made of international students and immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers, and undocumented students. We advocate for these students, and we also serve our communities through hosting clothing drives and volunteering to teach and mentor refugee students in Utah. I hope to apply my experiences using the SEL model as a solution in the future to empower women in South Sudan fighting against gender inequality. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Priyanka Prem Kumar. I'm a research analyst and primarily work on improving sustainable food systems for smallholder farmers, particularly in the rural and mountainous regions. India has been ranked low on various indices that measure gender equality, including economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, political empowerment, and legal protection. As per India's voluntary national review, the political representation of women in parliament witnessed a rise. Meanwhile, 451 Research, a technology research group within S&P Global Market Intelligence, recently corrected a misleading statement held by Western stereotypes that gender inequality in the information technology area is much worse in India in comparison to the West. The number of women employed in the IT industry in India now makes up 34% of the IT workforce, of which 51% are entry-level recruits and over 25% are in managerial positions. Indeed, the youth are now almost at a 50-50 gender parity rate in STEM graduates. My own professional career is an example of the growing role of women in India in the IT area. During my internship as a researcher for AI for Rural, our work in rural and mountainous regions of Ghana and Niger was to improve food security and reduce poverty among female smallholders. AI for Rural has partnered with Utah Valley University since 2015 with a focus on promoting sustainable mountain development in the state of Utah and globally. My presentation at the UN conference White Matters, hosted at Utah Valley University last October, focused on improving the livelihoods of mountainous people in India using sustainable development with the help of artificial intelligence. Investment has to be made in agriculture to educate mountain women and to achieve greater food security while empowering them to make wise purchasing decisions. It is inevitable that women are an untapped resource to fight poverty and violence, and the ripple effects of women-led development are undeniable, as she will ensure education and empowerment for herself and for the future generations. The idea of perfect womanhood is perfect independence. I'm honored to be associated with Utah International Mountain Forum for sponsoring researchers like me to be part of the unique student engaged learning model, which encourages us to advocate jointly for sustainable mountain development for women, with faculty assisting us as mentors. I hope in the near future, this model will also be adopted by universities in India. This Women's Day, I'm proud to participate in this event of the 67th session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women. Thank you.
We'll now turn the podium back to our final speaker, who will also run our question and answers, Ambassador Aida Kasimaliva, the permanent representative of the Kyrgyz Republic to the United Nations, to finalize the results of such a wonderful discussion tonight. I would like to express again my personal thanks to the permanent representative for providing this forum that empowers many mothers like me who advocate for their mountain regions. Ms. Kasimaliva.
Dear participants, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express our gratitude and appreciation to all participants of today's side event. I thank my dear colleagues Elisenda Piar of Andorra and my colleague Bakhtiyor Ibrahimov. He also will participate in Q&A session, and Hans Almaslechner, DPR of Austria, for their insightful addresses. I also extend thanks to Mr. Jamil Ahmad, representative of UNEP, Ms. Rosa Laura Romero, Mountain Partnership Secretariat, Dr. Razzi Butler, Dr. Baldomero Lago, Dr. Jay Desart, Professor of Utah Valley University, as well as students for their informative and fruitful interventions on the topic of today's event. Thank you. It's well known that women and girls, especially in mountains in the developing world, suffer most from the effects of climate change and lack of access to digital technologies. At the same time, these women also represent a huge potential and strengths to deal with that issues. In this regard, I believe that we should concentrate our attention within the framework of 5 years of action on the education and self-development of students, in particular women and girls in mountain regions. I express my confidence that the speeches, comments, and most importantly, suggestions and thoughts voiced today will make a certain contribution to the search for solutions to current issues of the mountain agenda. Thanks to you and your team, dear Professor Bahtibek and Alicia, for your assistance and wonderful moderating in organizing this event and for the excellent moderation. Thank you for your attention.
Before we continue, we'd like to turn the time over to the permanent representative of Uzbekistan, Ms.
Mr. Bakhtiyor Ibrahimov, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I would like to commend the current mission of the Kyrgyz Republic for convening this important event. I would like also to extend my most welcome to Her Excellency Sharapat Majidova, Minister of the Parliament of the Kyrgyz Republic, and thank all distinguished panelists for their insightful statement. I would like also to commend Utah Valley University for actively cooperating with the Kyrgyz mission in arranging this event. The topic of today's gathering advocating for mountain women and girls education through student engaged learning is very relative to many mountain countries. I believe that such forums serve as a good platform to exchange opinions on addressing issues that mountain girls and boys are facing in getting their education. In this regard, I would like to give credit to the UVU for actively collaborating with Kyrgyz Republic in this realm. I had a privilege to visit UVU back in 2018 myself and saw firsthand great potential of this university in providing world-class education to its students. In Uzbekistan, we also pay priority attention to the education of our youth. In recent years, in collaboration with foreign partners, we opened new universities, and the number of those universities now exceed 100. And we open universities in various realms. The overhauling educational system of our country has become a hallmark of our President Shavkat Mirziyoyev that has been spearheading the positive trend in our educational system. And that was my short remark. In conclusion, I would like just to express hope that ideas expressed by speakers today will be further explored by the organizers of this event, as my dear colleague from Kyrgyzstan, Aida said, and will be applying their practical work in providing better education for the mountain girls and boys in getting world-class education. Thank you for organizing, for arranging this event, and that's my short intervention. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to hear from you. We have time for about one or two questions, if anyone has any.
Thank you. I have a quick question. Is there anybody taking record of all this great work since many years ago, including our wonderful Dr. Butler and till today? I have been watching this group for so long. I'm so impressed. Anybody is taking the great record as a historical model record. Thank you.
Part of our SEL model includes students writing reflective essays on what they've learned, what they could have done better, what they did right, and then posting that with pictures and event videos on our student-run website so that our future members and future students can learn from our mistakes, can grow, but we can also continue to grow from each other and learn and share what we've learned through sustainable mountain development advocacy with the world. We appreciate everyone who attended our event today. Happy Women's Day, and we hope you will enjoy the rest of Fine Woman. Thank you.